We are starting with SmackDown as Nick Aldis was on hand to introduce Cody Rhodes to his challenger for King and Queen of the Ring, none other than US champion Logan Paul. The two champions came face to face in the ring before Paul began his verbal barrage against the undisputed WWE champion as he tried to prove supremacy over Cody. Paul claimed that Rhodes' Men's Royal Rumble 2023 win was nothing compared to his own viral collision with Ricochet, and that Prime had overshadowed Cody at WrestleMania 40. The Maverick also brought up IShowSpeed appearing last month in Philly, and Cody said that while he respects Paul's skills, he doesn't appreciate his egotism and underhanded tactics. Rhodes said that he'll prove to be the better champion when he faces Paul in Saudi Arabia, and both men will meet again next week for their official contract signing. On Twitter, Paul reminded fans of his "We Want Cody" tweet from earlier this year and said that he always gets what he wants in the end. Now what Paul wants is Cody's undisputed WWE Championship, and this clash of egos and will undoubtedly captivate fans in Jeddah later this month. Are you excited for Paul versus Rhodes, or should a more full-time wrestler be in the main event spot against the American Nightmare? Let us know down below. It was at Backlash France that Tonga Loa helped the Bloodline defeat Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, and he's been welcomed into the faction ever since. Loa was on this week's SmackDown, but eagle-eyed fans will have noticed a slight name change, as on the show, his name was spelled Tonga Loa, T-O-N-G-A. WWE filed trademarks for both Tanga and Tonga Loa, and now it looks like we know what name he'll be going with moving forward. Ever since Roman Reigns' loss at WrestleMania 40, the dynamic of the Bloodline has changed, as the Tribal Chief has been nowhere to be seen. In his absence, Solo Sikoa has stepped up and assumed control of the stable, first by casting out Jimmy Uso, and has also welcomed in Tama Tonga and his brother Tonga Loa. Amidst this new incarnation of the Bloodline, Paul Heyman has been visibly uncomfortable with the changes, reminding Solo that the decisions he's been making were not his to make. On this week's SmackDown, however, Solo revealed that he has spoken to Reigns, who has instructed him to be in charge of the Bloodline until Reigns returns to WWE TV. Sikoa embraced Heyman as his wise man now, leaving the special counsel noticeably concerned, but Heyman will have to fall in line behind the group's current leader. Heyman will do what he's told, but Kevin Owens has no issue speaking against this revamped Bloodline, which he said was a bootleg version of the original group. But what are your thoughts on Solo Sikoa being officially christened as the interim leader of the Bloodline by Roman Reigns? Sound off in the comments section below. SmackDown also saw the continuation of the QR code mystery, as these codes have been appearing as glitches on WWE broadcasts ever since the Raw after WrestleMania 40. These glitches have ignited speculation among fans and fueled anticipation for what could be a huge development, with fans predicting a new stable to be formed. On Raw in Hartford, the intrigue deepened as a QR code flashed on screen and, upon being scanned, showed a video of a cloaked figure, perhaps the one behind these glitches. On SmackDown, the glitch appeared during Nia Jax's match with Naomi, and when scanned, took fans to what seemed to be simply WWE's new introductory video package. Triple H's voiceover could be heard before the pitch changed, and things got spooky, and a long message flashed on screen before ending with the WWE logo. It reads, "They put us in a cave together, told us to behold the glory. We watched in awe, consumed by their lies. We were never the chosen ones, left in the cave to rot, to be forgotten. But he set us free. Now we understand. We follow the prophecy, the word of the red. Soon you will understand. The tears we shed watered our antipathy and blossomed a garden of revulsion. There is no safe space, only my family." Once again, terms like "we" and "family" have led fans to think this is a faction, and it's been reported that Bo Dallas will be leading a group as Uncle Howdy. Nikki Cross, Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy, and the recently rehired Eric Rowan will come together as a united force, with each bringing something unique to the new group. After weeks of build, fans may not have to wait much longer to see this faction, as Brian Alvarez writes in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that the group could debut this month. The codes have hinted at the idea of this new Wyatt family being officially introduced at King and Queen of the Ring, which will take place in Saudi Arabia on May 25th. But what have you made of the QR code mystery and this latest development on SmackDown to this enigma? Sound off down in the comments. SmackDown's opening contest was a first-round Queen of the Ring match between Nia Jax and Naomi, and after some exchanged punches, Jax took control of the pace. Most of this match was Jax dominating with the occasional comeback from Naomi, but a split-legged moonsault and top rope hurricanrana failed to give the Glow the win. Fans watching may have noticed the screen going black at one point and know this wasn't part of WWE's glitch mystery, but for an unfortunate reason. A wardrobe malfunction led to WWE forcibly using the black screen, and after Naomi was seen readjusting her gear multiple times, Jax won with the Annihilator to advance with this relatively uneventful bout. Next up was Jade Cargill versus Piper Niven, in arguably the first time that the women's tag team champion has faced someone who can match her power in WWE. The two began trading shoulder tackles, and this match had a simple layout, complete with a slow pace in the first half and some standout moments later on. Cargill picking up Niven for a slam was impressive, and Cargill managed to get Niven up for Jaded to get the win and advance in the tournament. Bianca Belair came out to celebrate with her tag partner ahead of her next match, which saw the EST face Candice Lerae, who had Indy Hartwell with her. Even without Cargill around, Belair was able to keep the upper hand despite interference from Hartwell, but when Bianca's knee gave out after a backflip, Lerae pounced. After only a couple of minutes, Belair hit the KOD for the win, and this was a solid match even if they barely had time to do much at all. So what's this mean for the brackets? Well, in the quarterfinals, Nia Jax will face Jade Cargill, while Bianca Belair will take on either Mi Chin or Tiffany Stratton. This spot in the quarterfinals will be decided at an upcoming WWE live event, as will a spot in the quarterfinals for the women of Monday Night Raw. Either Shayna Baszler or Zelina Vega will advance to the next round, where they'll face Io Sky, and next week's Raw will see Lyra Valkyria versus Zoe Stark for a place in the semifinals. More from SmackDown, as the fans in Wilkes-Barre had quite the spectacle after the show, when Raw's Jey Uso got a dark match victory over Gunther. Jey won the match by DQ as Gunther delivered a low blow, and after the match, Cody Rhodes came out to save Jey from Gunther's assault. Last night's show also saw quite the call-up from NXT, as Alicia Taylor made her debut as SmackDown's ring announcer, replacing Mike Rome. On Twitter, Triple H shared a photo with Taylor and said she was always meant to have a WWE microphone in her hand, and he's thrilled to be working with her again. During the broadcast, Corey Graves acknowledged Taylor's debut, underscoring the significance before she kicked off the evening with her introductions for the opening match. With her debut on SmackDown, Alicia Taylor marks the beginning of an exciting new chapter in her career, and fans can't wait to see her shine on the main roster stage. Over to Raw now, as Becky Lynch is riding high as the WWE Women's World Champion, and the man will be in action on next week's show. While an opponent for Lynch has yet to be announced, anticipation is running high for what promises to be an electrifying match ahead of her showdown with Liv Morgan in Jeddah. As we mentioned, Alicia Taylor was called up to the main roster on this week's SmackDown, but despite Mike Rome being moved to NXT, Taylor still did the announcing on Tuesday. Fightful Select reports that while Rome was at NXT, he did not stay until the end of the show, but was instead refamiliarizing himself with the Gold brand. Since 2008, Natalya has been a regular on WWE programming, but despite being an incredibly loyal talent, her future with WWE is uncertain at this time. During Fightful Select's Q&A, Sean Ross Sapp shared that Natalya's contract with WWE will expire this year, and that she and the company have not agreed to a new deal yet. With that said, the two sides are said to be in talks, and it's hard to imagine that WWE will be open to letting Natalya bring her talents to another company. In recent months, Natalya has been in NXT, helping the young stars of tomorrow progress, and time will tell if she and WWE can come to terms on a new deal. When Trent Beretta won a parking lot brawl with Chuck Taylor last month, the ex-friend didn't stop there and attacked Taylor's injured knee with a pipe after the match. On the May 1st Dynamite, an emotional Orange Cassidy shared that Taylor's in-ring career has ended because of the attack, and this isn't far from the truth. According to Fightful Select, Taylor's in-ring career is actually over, as he's set to work another role with the company going forward. The parking lot brawl on the April 27th Rampage had been Taylor's first match since October 2023, as he'd been sidelined with a foot injury that nearly nixed the brawl. Taylor was well aware of the extent of his injuries going into the Rampage match, but wanted to go ahead with the bout as he recognized that it could have been his last. In a statement, Rocky Romero spoke highly of Taylor and recalled their work in PWG and said it's a crappy situation that Chuck's in-ring career has ended. Taylor has been training as a coach/producer in recent months, and with his career in the ring finished, we are wishing him the best in his next chapter. On June 15th, WWE will return to the UK to host Clash of the Castle in Glasgow, Scotland, the promotion's first ever premium live event in the country. Given how popular WWE is right now, tickets are in high demand, but fans have been outraged by the extortionate price just to get a seat in the OVO Hydro. As BBC Scotland reported, the cheapest tickets at the back of the arena start at £300, equal to nearly $400, while premium seats exceed £2,000, equal to $2,500. Several fans shared their frustrations with the price, pointing out that they've been locked out of seeing WWE live, including Scottish stars like Drew McIntyre and Piper Niven. Journalist Ross Brandy, who attended WrestleMania 34 in New Orleans, said he was very disappointed as he lives just 20 minutes away from the Hydro but still can't go. The OVO Hydro can accommodate 14,300 people, but with just over a month to go, hundreds of seats remain unsold, showing that the price has prevented many from attending. We'll have to see if WWE will lower the ticket prices in the end, but we can only hope that those who did pay for seats get a show that was worth these obscene prices. During the post-WrestleMania Raw, The Rock confronted Cody Rhodes and made clear that when he returns to WWE, he's coming for the American Nightmare. This led to speculation of a one-on-one match, perhaps at an upcoming Saudi show, but fans wanting to see this encounter may have to wait until next year. The Wrestling Observer newsletter reports that the current plan is for Rhodes to face Rock at WrestleMania 41 with some huge stakes attached. At this point, the show is scheduled to feature Cody Rhodes versus The Rock. Dwayne Johnson's idea is WWE title versus People's title. Those in WWE have noted that there is no guarantee Rhodes will be champion at that time, which is where the People's belt comes in. But so many things can change over the course of a year. If this match does happen though, it'll raise questions about the long-anticipated match between The Rock and Roman Reigns, which was once locked in for WrestleMania 39. It was back in Elimination Chamber Perth that Rhodes challenged Rock anytime, any place. And are you on board with this match for 2025? Let us know in the comments below. Since parting ways with WWE after her SummerSlam 2023 MMA rules match with Shayna Baszler, Ronda Rousey has been outspoken about her time with the company. In her new memoir, Our Fight, Rousey recalled her time as SmackDown Women's Champion and losing the title at Money in the Bank 2022 to Liv Morgan. Rousey, who retained against Natalya that night, recalled being told that she'd be losing the title to the winner of the women's ladder match, but said that it wasn't Morgan at first. Instead, Rousey was told it would be Lacey Evans, and in the hallway, Ronda caught up with Evans, and the pair were excited for this opportunity for the sassy Southern Belle. A couple of days later, Rousey was at home when Paul Heyman called her and told her that Evans was out of the plans and Liv Morgan was in. When she asked about the change, Rousey was told that Vince McMahon was feeling more inclined to Morgan that week, and Rousey threw her phone after the call had ended. That woke her baby Poe up from her nap, as the former UFC fighter was frustrated that the plan had changed and the opportunity was taken from Evans. She writes, "I hung up, throwing the phone on the counter, immediately regretting it as the noise startled Poe from her nap. I was angry for Lacey, angry that WWE had put me in this position. Angry because Lacey probably didn't even fucking know and was out there walking around excited about a moment that would never come. Angry that this old man with our careers and legacies in his hand put no more thought into his decisions than how he was feeling in the moment." Sure enough, Liv won the briefcase and cashed in that night, and Evans, who had also been planned for a title run the previous year, would leave WWE without ever tasting gold. Speaking about her feud with Morgan, Rousey reveals that she was supposed to win the title back at SummerSlam, but once again, Vince changed his mind and Liv kept the gold. The finished pitch to Rousey was that she'd make Liv tap in an armbar, but the referee wouldn't see it and lead to a controversial finish the UFC alum was dead against. Rousey found this outcome tiresome and felt it risked turning the crowd against Liv, and despite attempts to change course, Triple H said that Vince was firm on this direction. Liv, who'd become one of WWE's most beloved champions, was now being booed and met with "you tapped out" chants, and Rousey would be proven right with her concerns. When Rousey brought this up to Paul Heyman, blame was shifted to Liv herself, as it was said she invited the negative reaction by responding to the chant rather than ignoring it. The mantra backstage was that it was her fault, and this only strengthened Rousey's issues with WWE, as she often felt that the women didn't get fair treatment. By October, Rousey would win the title back, but what do you make of her revelations about Morgan as well as Lacey Evans? Let us know down in the comments. Back to SmackDown, and after a brief exchange backstage, Baron Corbin and Carmelo Hayes met in a first-round match in the King of the Ring tournament. Both men were plucked from NXT to SmackDown in the draft, and this week's contest was Corbin's first Blue Brand match since his June 9th, 2023 loss to Pete Dunne. That was a Money in the Bank qualifier, and this week's match saw Hayes take the advantage early with his speed, but then he turned his back on the Golden Gloves fighter. Corbin made him pay for that, but in the end it was Melo who got the roll-up win in this well-put-together contest that made both men look good. Even in defeat, Corbin probably impressed a few people who missed his NXT run, and having Melo get the win was the right call. In his first singles match in WWE, Tonga took on Angelo Dawkins, and Tonga was looking to continue his winning ways that saw him and Solo Sikoa on top in France. Dawkins replaced the injured Bobby Lashley in the tournament, and the match started with Tonga taking control and showed his vicious side. As Dawkins tried for a comeback, Sikoa and Tonga Loa attacked Montez Ford at ringside, distracting Dawkins and allowing Tonga to get the win. Tonga won his first singles match in WWE, albeit thanks to a distraction, but a win's a win, and now he's advanced to the next round. The main event of SmackDown was a first-round match with Randy Orton and AJ Styles, and with 20 minutes of the show left, they took their time during the entrances. The two made this a very competitive match while highlighting what makes each man special, and Orton sold a knee injury like he was never going to walk again. Not to be outdone, Styles was bumping all over for the Viper, and this was easily the match of the night, thanks in part to having plenty of time to do everything. After a long struggle, Orton hit the RKO for the win and advances to the King of the Ring quarterfinals. But what has this meant for the tournament? Well, because of these results, we know that Randy Orton will take on Carmelo Hayes next week for a spot in the semifinals. As for Tonga, he'll face either LA Knight or Santos Escobar when these two face off at an upcoming WWE Live event. For the Raw side of things, Ilya Dragunov will face Jey Uso, while Gunther will face either Kofi Kingston or Rey Mysterio. And who do you hope to see advance? And that was this week's SmackDown, and even with 6 tournament matches, it still had enough time for a few non-wrestling segments. The Bloodline drama continues to be the focal point of WWE, but they've done a good job pivoting the story from the world title so Rhodes can have new challengers. An even split of 3 men's and 3 women's matches was great, though the women could have benefited from more time, and the match of the night was Orton Styles. With that said, Hayes and Corbin put on a fun performance, and with Jade Cargill improving leaps and bounds in WWE, it'll be interesting to see how far she goes in the tournament. Thanks to an injury sustained in the AEW Tag Title Tournament, fans haven't seen Ricky Starks as of late, but his partner Big Bill has remained on programming. Bill is aligned with the Learning Tree Chris Jericho, and this change has left fans wondering what's to come for Bill and Starks once the latter is back. Fightful Select reports that there's no plans for a reunion of the former tag champions, but it's worth noting that there is no animosity between the two sides. Instead, the feeling is simply that their run as a team has run its course, and with Starks having past success as a singles star, we'll have to see what's next for him once he's back. As we noted, plans for Ronda Rousey were often the subject of last-minute edits, but the same can't be said for the Bloodline, who have often been gifted with well-crafted ideas. In fact, the biggest change of plans to the faction saw Roman Reigns retain his title at WrestleMania 39, as at one time, Cody Rhodes was set to finish the story in 2023. In her book, Rousey recalls the Bloodline's run on top and a taping where she was given little time for her Shayna Baszler feud so Roman Reigns and his allies could have plenty. Heyman sent me creatives planned the next morning. It was, 2 other wrestlers will be giving a backstage interview. In the background, Shayna walks into the women's locker room. A few seconds later, Ronda walks across the background. We hear shouting from the locker room. Ronda storms out. What the actual fuck, I said aloud as I read and reread Heyman's message. This had to be a joke. Seth Rollins was slated for 2 entire segments in the ring. To cut a promo. By himself. The Bloodline had been allotted an entire segment for a video recap of their Money in the Bank match and the lead up to it. Not a single one of them was even in the building. Rousey was mad that she was making an effort weekly, only to be snubbed in favor of the Bloodline, who had no physical presence at the show, but still given special treatment. Ronda Rousey has said that she has no plans for a WWE return until major changes happen, and we'll have to see if there's ever a time she'd come back to the company. In 2020, Otis and Nick Nemeth feuded over the affections of Mandy Rose, which resulted in the future NXT Women's Champion sharing a kiss with Otis at WrestleMania 36. 4 years later though, Otis and Nemeth have clearly made amends, as the Alpha Academy member made a surprise appearance during Nick's Hunkamania comedy show. Nick's brother Ryan Nemeth shared footage of Otis telling some jokes, and it's clear that the three men and the audience had a great time at the Las Vegas event. In February, Sammy Guevara was suspended after going against AEW's health protocol during a match with Jeff Hardy, as he should have stopped when Jeff seemed hurt. Now the Wrestling Observer confirms that Guevara's suspension is ended, but with no planned storylines right now, it remains to be seen when he'll be back on TV. And we're ending with Carmelo Hayes, who recently went toe-to-toe with Cody Rhodes, but this great match was marred with one unfortunate botch by both men. As both stars jumped off the middle rope, they missed each other when trying to hit mid-air moves, with Rhodes ending up landing on his shoulder in a painful way. During a recent edition of the Ringer Wrestling Show, Hayes addressed his supposed botch and believes fans may have set their expectations too high. He explained, I think it's wild that people thought that Cody was gonna catch me with a Cody cutter in mid-air. If you see what it was, we both do a springboard move. He's got the disaster kick, he's got the Cody cutter, I've got a couple of different things. I tried to catch him and he tried to catch me, but he wasn't fast enough to catch me, and I ducked underneath, and then I came in and I capitalized. I think people romanticized and grandiorized what it was. I didn't even really address it truthfully, and I know Cody could care less, but hey, that would have been great if he could have got me in a Cody cutter. Not great for me, it would have been great for Cody. Hayes impresses in the ring, but being part of a mid-air Cody cutter was too difficult even for him, though we doubt this will be the last time Hayes tangles with the WWE Champion.